Now you hear me? I think as of right now. So in this world we live in, everything is made suppression. And we will just cover as of right now what that means. So basically what we should recognize is that we simply we are human animals that are living in a cage. We are similar. We live the same as animals that are living in a zoo, caged. Basically, we are nothing else but caged animals who have like higher IQ and higher intelligence. But our main desire and our pro desire is to procreate and basically to have kids and to reproduce. That is the main reason why we are living, and that is the main reason what God's intention was, is to repopulate the earth and to be an image of his creation. But now, right now, in the last few hundred years, the elites did an attack on this creation, and basically humans, human animals, or in general animals who are living in a cage, they don't reproduce because their levels of stress are too high, and just so many reasons why they don't reproduce. Because the natural environment is not giving out of all. So basically the elites did an attack on human being, on living itself. What do I say? What do I mean with that? So it is difficult to explain, but let me give my 2 cents here. And the problem with this topic is, first I want to state that is I get so fucking I get emotional when I talk about this, because it really opened my eyes in the last recent time, and it just makes me so angry against the elites that I can't think clearly, like what they did in the last 20, 30, 50 years, or even hundreds, I don't know. But first of all, we take some context. When you look, what led to the major decline of, how do you say that? I don't know even how to state that. Like the devaluation of pay. I mean, we as the Gen Z, we have 90% less buying powers than our boomer parents. 90%, imagine that. And one of the major issues that led to this payment, this depreciation of the pay itself, was like doubling the workforce, bringing all the women into the workforce. That is the first reason, that is the major reason why the pay depreciation went down as it is right now. Then secondly, when you watch how the female nature and the male nature are, how female nature is wired, then you will be convinced that what they did, what the elites did, was the worst thing and is the worst atrocity that could have ever happened, by placing the human, the natural order, so to even out male and women, to make them appear to be like the same. The problem with that is the human nature, the male nature, in regards to biology, is like, you want to attract a mate, a woman that you are able to reproduce with, and physical qualities, physical appearances. You as a man, you are a very visible creature, because you have to look, can I reproduce with that woman? Is she, how to speak, give me 1 second. Is she fertile? Is she, yeah. can she give me offspring? You know, this is why women are easily to be hooked on porn, since it's very visible. It looks for fertility and procreation, and this is some sort of male nature. Also, like men, we want girls that are pure. We want some purity. We don't want most people don't want just a whore that is just fucking around. But that's a quite another topic. In the first instance, we look if a woman is fertile or if she isn't. And we look in the sense of, okay, has she breasts, has she an ass, and how is her physical appearance? We looked at more than actually doing the test if she's fertile. And the female wiring is that she looks out for status. And yes, there are exceptions, but I'm just giving out the general rule here for reproductive measures. So basically, the women, they look for status. They say they want to be even, they want to be like the man, but what they are actually searching in a partner is someone who is actually higher than themselves in social status or financial status or emotional status, whatever. Basically, they want to be dominated also, like they want that the man has the power in the relationship and is like capable and competent. What they are really out here to look for is competence. And the competence has to be even or higher than their own competence. And these are defined factors in order to reproduce. Because the most people that are reproducing, and of course there are exceptions and people are different, and you just can't look like black and white or white and gray area, but in general the people who have like the most sort of success with girls or with relationships are the people that show the most competence. This is the reason why we saw in the newest article that the CEO, I don't know what the name was, he cheated with the other girl, even though I don't really think her appearances are that she's a good looking person. But anyway, like he was in a position because of his displayed competence and other factors like environment, so that he was like mating with her and betraying his wife. And we see that in a lot of high status male because they have the competence that women are looking for. So what happens when you have women who are basically wired to look for competence in male, but then they get pressured from the elite to compete against those males. So they compete against these males in the workplace. They want to be like the man. What they practice is basically the 3 toxic traits of women: gossiping, shaming, and rallying. Which rallying is something that I would also replace with rebellion, either rallying or rebellion. So a modern woman is gossiping. So basically, a man always, look, we as men, we want to understand women and we want to love them. That's just period. But we can't understand women. And women who understand women, they hate each other. That is something that we can take from the sex. What women are doing is quite terrific. And there was a study in the barbers, female barbers, who had other female customers, and basically they were shaving their hairs. And when the female barber saw a girl that she experienced as more beautifully looking, more beautiful than herself, she would cut the hair a few inches more than a woman which she would be perceiving as more ugly than herself. So basically what that means is that women who they perceive as superior because of beauty, because, yeah, mostly it's beauty, these aspects of beauty, they start to gossip about them, they start to envy them, or shaming them, or lead them, or they cherish themselves to do toxic bullshit behavior, and basically pressuring each others to be hoes by convincing them to do shit, to do degenerative shit. So you have all these women that are looking for a man that has more competence, while simultaneously competing against that man, having often higher academia position, since the university is infiltrated with female, since it is so beneficiary for female, all the things they are looking out in any university is basically to sit silent, to how do you say, to be agreeable, to be able, yeah, and also like the masculine energy is something that a strong masculine man, he will not bow down or be like dominated and like be, yeah, perceived. Like his incentive to defend and to stand up and to rebel against things that he don't like is much higher. And a woman not. A woman is much more easier to comply, to listen, to be agreeable, and all those stuff that teaches academia, which will further enhance their careers. So you have, in general, you have female that exceeded male. They exceeded also their expectations, but are still in the same wiring as thousands of years before. So you have 80% of the male, which are basically suffering through mate suppression. They can't get a girl. They can't get a wife, since the girl is not satisfied with 80% of men. And then you have girls, basically, that have this all overall abundance, that are not morally held accountable for their actions, because we always say to men, the man always get taught to how to behave in front of women. As I was a kid, always my mother and all the public incentive was like, oh, be nice to her, treat her good, and all the stuff. We men, we pay strictly attention to how to compel to women that they like us. We were raised as that, and we do that. We watch videos on YouTube on how to attract women. A lot of times there is bullshit that even confuses us more, and basically nobody knew what to do exactly. But we gave our best. Women never did that, because women know the red carpet is rolled out for them. And I would say even the contrary. I would say 80% that women do are actually things that no man wants, such as having a lot of tattoos, having had sex with multiple partners, with multiple males, having male friends, practicing degeneracy, and all the stuff that modern women nowadays are doing. So basically, we have a society right now that was created by the elites, which is founded on mate suppression for women and for men, because it hurts the women as well, since they see themselves as more competent, and the successful female CEO goes on Tinder, watches the profiles of other men, and is not attracted to neither of them, since she's more capable, she's more competent, and all the other aspects that she's searching in a partner. And basically, the women, the girls, they are looking for a real man. A real man. What a real man means for them is a man who takes the things that makes him in the power dynamic superior or stronger, and he throws that in the rubbish so that the woman can thrive and put herself over the man. That means rules are applied for women, for men. Men need to behave in rules, men need to bow down to their women, men should restrict themselves, and the woman basically can do whatever she wants. That is what she means when she's saying she's looking for a real man. And that's the thing, like, they abandoned the patriarchy, but the problem with the women is like that. I love women. Look, I have 3 sisters. I have 2 sisters. I have a mother. I love my female components. I had girlfriends and all the stuff. I know what I'm talking about. But the thing is, like, with this patriarchy, like, they abandoned the patriarchy. That means, like, hey, we are our own man. We are not dependent on male. So we alter ourselves over those people, over this masculine man. But then you have a relationship, and basically 80 to 90% of all the marriages, they get abandoned and they get broken by women. So women are the most, or they have the highest percentage to do the divorce. And why is that? Because they have more power in the relationship. And every breakup that came from a woman, I had a few myself, happened because the woman, and I'm not speaking only for myself, I speak for everyone, is because the woman had too much power in the relationship. And when the woman is supposed to lead the relationship and have more power than the male, she will drive the relationship to the wall. And this is the reason why the patriarchy was invented. Because when you leave women with their own devices, with their own vices, they will destroy themselves and everything that is in connection with. They will drive, they will create chaos, they will drive problems, so that it will lead to an abandonment of those relationships. This is the reason why the women need a man. They need a man that is stable, that is emotionally straight, that tells them what to do, so that they can bend their chaos, their chaotic nature, which is their female nature, and just how they got created under the image of God. Are there exceptions? Yes. Am I right all the time? No. Is this a radical theory? For recent times, yes. In the past? No, absolutely not. That's what we did since the human civilization was born. Because we knew what will happen. We knew that this mate suppression would be an outcome. Nietzsche predicted the world that we're living in right now 200 years ago. And it's fucking crazy how accurately he predicted it. Give me 1 second. Because I hope I am recording. Which is their female nature and just how they got created. Okay. Where do I was? Years ago. And it's fucking crazy how accurate he predicted it. And all that happens as of right now. So we have now 60% of Gen Zers, of women especially, that don't want to have kids. We have 25% of the overall population who say the world is such a crazy place that they will never have kids just because they think it is evil and cruel to have kids nowadays. So basically, we have God that created this civilization, and we established our growth through Jesus Christ and all that stuff. And then you have, as of right now, you have an inversion, and you have basically a war against human creation itself. And I think that is even worse than doing mass slaughter. Maybe it's controversial, but when you make suppression tactics, psychological tactics that the elites use, for example, also like pornography, incentivizing women to do OnlyFans, leaving there to their own vices, so they will be ultimately destructive for the families and for the nuclear families and just in general. But I don't want to blame the women, because in the first place it's not the blame on women, it's the blame on men. Weak men let that happen in the first place, because the weak men were looking, and the women, which are now the feminists that are using this toxic femininity, they had to compel to men in order to remove the patriarchy. They couldn't remove the patriarchy themselves. They had to appeal to men. The men were like weakening and were like hearing a lot of the women's complaints and stuff, acknowledging them, having more female aspects to them, so that they removed the patriarchy. And now you have destruction. Weak men, the elites, propaganda, CIA feminist propaganda that happened to that. And that is something. Give me 1 second. I will get another coffee, and then I will continue to speak more about it. Ay, ay. And also, like, why do women use those tactics, those toxic feminine tactics, such as gossiping, shaming, and rallying? Just because simply they don't fight each other, they don't propose the threat of violence, so they had to set up an environment which they all see themselves as equally and play like with manipulating tactics. This is the reason why nobody really, in the friend groups of women, there is gossiping, shaming, and rallying, and because they are all selfishly protecting their own womb to looking out for their own survival. And if you don't compel to those tactics, otherwise you wouldn't get up, you wouldn't be taken from basically those. Yeah, it's difficult. Okay, I fucked that up. Anyway, guys, sometimes you do some errors. Whatever, just because like a woman who wouldn't do those tactics and wouldn't ensure their own survival, she wouldn't get took from the king in his harem, and she wouldn't be able to reproduce and would die off. That's something that I've learned recently. But that's also like her primal instinct is also like to look for the reproduction for their own survival, to have them this sort of security and status that they are searching for. And it is like not the survival of the fittest, but it is like the survival of who is the most adaptive to the current environment. Before 100, 300 years ago, she would have went with the strongest warrior just because the environment was dangerous and was set up to be that you have to take the strongest. And now it's like the whole environment changed, and you go rather your incentive is to go with the CEO who has maybe weak arms and who's like such a pussy, but he gives enough resources in order to survive. And this is the thing, like when you look at the modern elites, and especially the elites in the US, what they are trying to set up, and also in Europe, but especially in the US, they want to make the US a second Mexico. The strategy is simple: divide and conquer. Divide and conquer in order to rule over its peasants. And you see what they did. I mean, they did a mass slaughter. The mate suppression is one of the biggest tactics they use in order to kill millions and billions of people. Look at all the birth rates that they are doing. The birth rates plummeted. They plummeted to 1 point something all over the Western world. So basically they are killing us off. Then you have Elon Musk, who is producing robots, and all the technical stuff and the AI evolution that is happening right now. And I just want to share my opinion and what I think about it. Because so in my opinion, I think you should be really, really angry at the elite. In my opinion, I think that the elite should be crucified and should be held accountable and basically be completely demolished. I think in a very radical term, and my reason why I think like this is because I just see if it doesn't happen a revolution in where the elite is being disabled to such a point, if that doesn't happen in the recent years that are about to come, that means that I think I and a lot of other people need to sacrifice our lives in order for this upcoming revolution. Otherwise, I just think that they will kill us off. And as crazy as that sounds right now, you should hear me out. I really think that they would set it up to kill us all off. And with the newest inventions, with AI that is accelerating at a point so fast, with the elites taking control over its peasants from a democracy to a dictatorship, all the tactics that they use that created the world that we're living right now, which had enormous beneficiaries and is in some sort of a way good and comfortable, it is going to a direction which is hell basically, which is a dictatorship where you have cameras that are monitoring every aspect of your life and basically let you work on the lands and the fields as a peasant. and just die off. And that is one of the craziest things that I saw, that I see coming right now. And in my opinion, if we don't get rid of the elites, I just don't see human survival. I just don't see us thriving, because they did too much harm. Every one of us, especially every male that is nowadays living with their parents, that has no girlfriend, that is an incel, that is depressed, that is nihilistic, the women that had the highest rates. Also, like women should also hate the elite. The subversion of everything, like what they did to us, is unforgivable. And like really, I don't condone violence, and in my opinion I am not a supporter of violence, but in my opinion I think that look, isn't it necessary at some point? Like really, when you look at everything that is happening, like, or should we leave them and let them with their own vices? Should we let a World Economic Forum and a European Union and a Donald Trump and an infiltrated CIA Jewish agenda or whatever that is, should we really let that rule over ourselves, in order that it will kill us off? I don't see that, man. I really don't see that. And it should make you angry, and I think it should lead to major change in the next few recent years. Because if the people don't gather and build communities who will lead to the downfall of the bad, Ephesians 6:12. Basically, look, I will say it in a way that will get me in the least form of trouble. Since if you treat me good, I don't care which ancestries you have, which religion that you have, where you're from, if you're Muslim, if you're Christian, or even if you're Jew. I love all people that are kind, that are good, and that who want human flourishing. I just say it in a way that will get me the least amount of trouble, guys. Just understand my wiring. But if we don't solve this in accordance to Ephesians 6:12, for our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. If we don't fight those evil spirits and those evil forces, if we don't fight these authorities, these powers of this dark world, and these spiritual forces of evil that are manifesting through the elites, through persons, I think we will be lost. That is one thing that I will admit. And I don't know, look, people who are good, I really like them. And today's Friday, I hope Sneeko, I'm completely off topic now, but I just want to admit, like, I really like Sneeko. And he has this thing called 1 Minute Podcast, which is in the subway of New York and interviewing people, like, about their opinions, about political issues and so forth. And he does that on Friday, I think every Friday, I'm not really sure, but I hope the new video will come out today. And I really like him. He's a cool guy and I watch him a lot. I think he's an artist in some sort of way. He's profound, he says what he thinks, and yeah, that was just one thought that was racing. No, but I think we should use our technical devices. Since we are human animals, we should use our technical devices only to build a new community, to meet us in person, in order to fight Ephesians 6:12, those powers of darkness. Otherwise, they will rule over ourselves. And this is the reason why, when you look at this is the reason that Revelation of John, the book of Revelations, I hope Jesus would come back, I don't know, but some sort of like this. We need we need a force, either that is within ourselves or that is manifesting something higher that will fight against those rulers of darkness and the common problems that we are facing with AI porn, with dolls that are being created to make the man even a more slave to his own desires, just so it's more easy for the elite to control them. And we always thought the opposite. We always thought like, oh, Christianity, religion itself is only being used to control people and to like make them slaves for God. And like nowadays you look at the indoctrination of a woke LGBTQ gender or general modern men, modern women, and you see the indoctrination is much worse than any religion combined, except like some extremely radical ideas, of course. And this is one thing why I see, look, for example, like MGK, you see like, you look like through the evolutions of Machine Gun Kelly. And first of all, look, I feel like I see the soul of Machine Gun Kelly. I would say it's a good soul. It's a profound soul. And maybe I'm indoctrinated myself. I'm not claiming that I know everything or that I am the truth. But you see, like really, you see the indoctrination of the world itself, and then you see the evolution of Machine Gun Kelly, and basically how he took all the indoctrination. First he was a rebellion. He was this white rapper, this white masculine rapper. And then he went through all these stages. And when you look at the final version of Machine Gun Kelly, the Machine Gun Kelly that we are seeing right now, we basically see a person that is assimilated with the modern world as best it can be. Like basically all the indoctrinations that were given us, that were put on our backs, he's carrying them. He's carrying them with his recent track. I saw the recent track. What was the name? It was released like 4 hours ago, Miss Sunshine, where you see basically all is basically modernity manifested in a person. He's not the only exception, not the only guy. I don't mean that to bury him or something, but it's a good example to see where we are right now and how many different contrasts that are existing. Guys, I don't know, I am just freestyling right now, and I like to freestyle. You know, I always thought passion is a good thing. But now I just want to use my creativity to give an exclaimer. Because this I have to steal from Ian Carroll. I am not an expert in anything but sarcasm. So I rewind it again. I am not an expert. I'm just a plumber. I'm doing construction work and I'm just working on construction. I'm not an expert in anything but sarcasm. And so therefore don't cite me on anything, on any misconception that I'm giving. Since I don't have it figured out everything myself, I just want to stick with the things that made us survive the last few hundred years, which is Christianity, which could be Christianity or other things. But I'm not an expert in anything. So that I said that again. Yeah, the world is in a funny place right now. It's you really see it. Would Jesus end the Fed? What do you guys think? If Jesus would be alive right now, would he end the Fed? That's some things to consider. I think he would. Yeah, but sometimes it's interesting what is happening right now.